I, 27M, just found out my girlfriend, 24F, is lying about being on a trip. Is there any hope or am I cooked? My girlfriend Amy and I went on our first date around 1.5 years ago. Took things slowly while being exclusive, and have been officially dating 1 year. Overall, the relationship has been pretty good, minus some small hiccups in communication that she chalks up to her neurodivergence. Amy isn't great with texting, which I thought was a red flag at first until I found out she's like that with almost everyone, most of her friends and family included. To give a little background, Amy and a few of her girlfriends go to this conference a few states over twice per year. It's a 2-day event, which they usually turn into a 5-day vacation because it requires a flight and hotel and is in a nice city. Amy's friend group is typically very active on social media during these trips, posting on their Instagram story during all points, flights, conference, beach, etc. This weekend was supposed to be their 3rd time attending. Amy and her friends have had their flights and hotels booked for a few months, confirmed by some of their posts on social media, being excited about having everything booked. Unfortunately, the conference was canceled, but they already booked everything, so they decided to still enjoy a vacation. My girlfriend and I had a date night last weekend. She was telling me how excited she was for her trip. All was good, but at the end of the date, I caught a glimpse of Amy's phone. She was on her airline app, and it looked like she was reading cancellation policies. We had a long day, and I was tired and felt like I was snooping/being nosy, so I didn't say anything. During the week, I asked Amy to hang out the day before the flight, emphasizing that I wanted to see her before her trip. Unfortunately, she was meeting up with her group of co-worker friends, so she couldn't. No worries. The morning of her flight, I texted her wishing her a safe flight and happy trip, and she liked my message. We haven't talked since, as I said she's not a big texter, so we usually don't text much besides planning dates and in emergencies. I figured she was on her trip, so I haven't texted to plan a date. Now, on to the meat of the issue. Amy is now supposed to be a few days into her trip, and I noticed none of her friends were posting on Instagram. I thought that was weird because they usually post a lot, but I shrugged it off. That was until tonight. Amy started posting videos of her at a show. It looked fun, and I didn't think twice about it. Until the ending, where the show host called out, "Thank you," and in the name of the major city nearby where we live, approximately 30-minute drive. I looked up the name of the show, and of course, it was in that nearby city this weekend, meaning she wasn't on that vacation after all, and never thought to say anything to me about it. I did a little snooping on Venmo and found out that over 2 weeks ago, Amy's friend paid her back the money that Amy had her send her for the hotel and car rental. So she's known the trip was canceled for 2 weeks and hasn't said anything to me every time I brought it up. Where do I go from here? I feel like I'm suddenly spiraling, going crazy overthinking everything lately to see if I've missed any signs. I've already started assuming the worst, and I'm panicking. I'm out of town for the weekend, and I feel like this has totally thrown off my trip. Is this worth a conversation, or is the relationship already over? Is there any reason she would have not said something by now? Even if she tells me the trip was canceled right, when I see her before I confront her, would that still justify not telling me until after the trip? Please, any advice is greatly appreciated. Thank you. Edit. Her best friend just uploaded a picture of them together during the show, so I know she wasn't there with some other guy. But that doesn't explain the lying. Relevant comments. Commenter 1. Sure seems like she pretended the trip was happening to do something else with someone else? That's your worst case assumption, right? If so, what's her plan? Keep pretending she went. Keep you in the dark? Hope no friend outs her? Pretty stupid. If she's seeing someone else, she should just dump you. OOP. Yeah, that's my assumption. I don't really see any other reason why she would have pretended the trip was still planned. Even if I misunderstood the timeline of the trip getting canceled, like if that Venmo payment was for something else, I'd assume she would have told me when I texted her the morning of her flight. Commenter 2. I don't like to just assume the worst, but I don't see why she didn't mention that the trip was canceled unless she was up to something she didn't want you to know about. Especially if she'd known for over 2 weeks, but was hyping up how thrilled she was to go the weekend before. But then again, she posted the concert she was at, so she wasn't exactly being too careful. I'm not sure. Could it just be a case of poor/miscommunication? OOP. Exactly why I'm so confused. Like if she was purposely lying to me and trying to hide where she was, why would she post a show? Especially the last clip mentioning the city name. Was she just assuming I wouldn't know what the show was? Maybe she's trying to get me to break up with her? I'm really lost, but I feel like I'm gaslighting myself. It definitely wasn't miscommunication. When I tried to plan the date the day before her flight, I specifically mentioned the trip, and she said nothing. And I wished her a safe flight the morning of the flight. I really just don't know. Update 2.5 weeks later. To quickly summarize my last post, a few weeks back my girlfriend was supposed to go on a trip a few states away to go to a conference. I came to find out that the conference was canceled and she didn't actually go and never even bothered to tell me. She lied by omission about it by not telling me when I texted her to have a good flight. I found out she didn't go because her best friend posted a picture of them at a show in our local nearby city. So here we are, almost a month later. I was wrecked and spiraling these past few weeks, and after being together for almost 2 years, I was too panicked to reach out and ask to see her. During the 3 weeks since her planned trip, she hasn't reached out once to me. That was until yesterday, when she casually reached out like we hadn't just ignored each other for 3 weeks and asked to see a movie. So I just finally saw her tonight. In the car, I asked about her trip. Her facial response was really weird, like she got caught off guard. I'm guessing she was expecting me to forget about it after a few weeks of not seeing her. She just said it was okay, which instantly confirmed my suspicions. I asked her what she had done, and she said she went to that conference one day, which, as I said in my last post, was canceled, and went to show after before returning home the day after I made my original post. I asked her which, and she claimed the show that was in our local city. I was driving at the time, and it was dark out. So I waited to confront her, as I didn't want to get emotional and endanger us. I confronted her for lying about the trip, doubling down and lying about the conference, and tripling down to lie about the show. Her immediate response was to start deflecting, saying that if this is making me upset to imagine how she felt that her conference and trip was canceled. She said how she was so heartbroken and upset that the conference was canceled, which was canceled 5 weeks ago, that she didn't want to talk about it. She kept saying that she doesn't owe it to me or anybody else to tell us about her business and what's going on in her life. I, of course, called her out for gaslighting me, to which her response was that she was not gaslighting me. Kind of ironic, I guess. When I talk about how it made me feel and that she damaged my trust for her, she again tried to belittle my feelings by rolling her eyes and saying that it was only a show. This conversation ended up opening to a much bigger issue in our relationship that I didn't mention in my last post. Generally, Amy treated me really poorly throughout the relationship. She was hot and cold, put zero effort into communication, and it never felt like she made a priority. She'd give me zero affection or compliments despite drooling and crushing over male celebrities all day. She's made little effort to connect me and her family and friends. We've talked about all of this a few times now. She would always say she was overwhelmed with some new excuse and promise it would get better. I would cave in and agree to work through things. As expected, things never got better. This time was the same, where she blamed a new job for being overwhelmed, and that's why she's been so distant. But this time was different. I guess her blatant lie to my face, and your guys' comments in the back of my mind gave me power to put my foot down. I broke up with her then and there. She kept begging me for one more chance, to think on it for a few days, that she cares about me and didn't intend to hurt me, all that nonsense. But the whole time I was the one bawling, and there wasn't a tear on her face. It really broke my heart ending things, but I've also really grown to hate myself for putting up with her treatment for so long. I'm hurting a lot right now, and I'm scared to get back into the dating world after 2 years of aging and some weight gain. I really loved her with every bit of my heart, and I'm terrified to picture my life without her. I really want to call her up and give her one final chance to get things right. But I know I'd never forgive myself if she didn't change and broke my heart again. I'm hurting bad, and I could really use some words of encouragement right now. Thank you all. Relevant comments. OOP on having better communication with his ex prior to her trip. OOP. Sorry if it was a bit unclear. I've got a few comments with mistakes about the timeline of things, so I'll clear it up in this comment, since it's one of the newer ones. Sorry if I ramble a little here. The wounds are still very fresh. The trip was only supposed to be 4 days. She never ended up going though, of course. Hence what I first confronted her about. She was in our hometown the entire time, presumably sleeping at her own house. She lives with her family, unless she was cheating on me. While I did ask her what she was actually doing during what should have been her trip, and during those 3 weeks of no contact, I didn't have the heart to ask if she was cheating, and also knew she would deny it even if she was. Maybe I'm naive, but I genuinely don't think she was cheating on me. While she treated me like trash and didn't seem like she cared much about me, she never struck me as somebody capable of cheating, and has been cheated on before. She's also not a very physically open person, and struggles to be intimate with anybody she's not dating. Her reason for lying about the trip was that she was feeling really sad that she didn't get to go and didn't want to talk about it. To me, that's such a BS excuse. She could have just told me that she didn't go but is hurting and doesn't want to talk about it. I don't think I'll ever know why she didn't tell me the truth, but that's something I'll just have to live with. In a way, I'm glad that she lied to me. It helped me snap out of things and break up with her. If she told me the truth about the trip off the bat, I was prepared to talk to her about the 3 weeks of silence and her emotional neglect and try to repair our relationship again for probably 8th or 9th time. So I guess it was a good thing she lied to me. Her reason for not contacting me during those weeks was that she's been overwhelmed with her first real job that she started approximate 1.5 months before these 3 weeks of silence. She did send me a handful, maybe 10, TikToks during that time, through TikTok, not text, but I would consider that more breadcrumbing than actually reaching out. Early in our relationship, she would spam me with dozens of TikToks when she was thinking about me, so sending one every few days during the silence felt like a sad attempt to keep me around. Admittedly, this isn't the first time she's gone a few weeks without contacting me. There have been other times where I felt like this relationship was one-sided, so I stopped reaching out to see if she'd contact me. In most of these cases, she wouldn't contact me for a few weeks. But there's always some big excuse. Her grandma was sick and in the hospital. She was doing interviews for a new job, final exams, etc., etc. I will admit that I know she shuts down under stress and tends to isolate a lot. But I've talked with her about this a few times before, and every time she told me that she promised she'd work on it. She also had no issue seeing her friends many times while overwhelmed and isolating. I'm not sure that me not asking her if she's cheated boils down to bad communication for me, but everybody is allowed their own opinion, I guess. I will admit that not contacting her myself for those 3 weeks isn't exactly great communication, but after 2 years of doing what I felt was the absolute most for communication and her not reciprocating, I guess I was feeling a bit burnout. I didn't explicitly ask her if she was cheating, but I did imply it by asking what she was doing during that weekend that she felt she needed to hide. That's when she deflected, telling me how she spent that time sad about the trip, despite going to that show. I did ask her what she was doing those 3 weeks. Of course, she said she was working her normal 9 to 5, and she works a part-time job in the evenings twice a week. She gave me a few examples of other things she did, times where she met up with friends. She spent a weekend at her best friend's house an hour south, which I can confirm that she did from social media, a doctor's appointment, etc. She didn't give me a full agenda of what she was doing, nor did I expect her to, as I'm not her babysitter. But she probably named 4 to 5 different times she hung out with friends plus her job 2 evenings per week, and the doctor's appointment. Like I said in my update post, she's made almost no effort to connect me with her friends and family. I've only met her family in passing and brief convos. Don't have their contact info, and none of them are on social media minus her little brother, who I barely know and do not follow. I wasn't about to make a fool of myself and look like the crazy, insecure boyfriend by contacting her little brother and seeing what she's doing and why she's not reaching out to me. At this point, what she was exactly doing during that time doesn't matter to me as much as her non-interest in seeing or talking to me. Something I didn't mention is that my parents live in the southeast of the U.S. and got blasted by the back-to-back hurricanes, their lives being at serious risk for one of them, up to 12-foot storm surges. And she didn't even check up on me / them during either of them. She waited until yesterday by saying something casual like, "Oh, by the way, how are your parents?" They were in their state for the hurricanes, right? Her not even caring to reach out when it was happening hurt a lot and showed me how little she cares about me and my family. I had a lot of friends and family reaching out to me to check on my parents when I had lost touch with them for a day. But the one person I really wanted to lean on for support didn't show any care. Completely agree that the worst part was her lying to me about it and doubling down. If she was honest off the bat about the conference being canceled when I saw her yesterday, I was foolish enough to be willing to try to work through the communication issues again. Her lying about it again lit a fire under me that this wasn't worth repairing and to get out. I wish that made it any easier and less painful. But that's life, I guess. Edit 2 1 week later. Like you all suggested, I've removed Amy on social media. I did it really late one night when I couldn't sleep, a few hours after she normally sleeps. I woke up about 5 hours later for work, around the time when she wakes up, and decided I should block her, so I don't get ever tempted to look at her profiles or give her a chance to contact me. She already beat me to the punch and blocked me first thing in the morning. I'm not sure how to block her when I'm blocked, but I guess this gets the job done. I wanted to address one comment. A lot of people are asking why I originally said our relationship was pretty good and waited to drop the bombshell of everything until my update. Honestly, I just wanted unbiased opinions on the original situation. Like if there was any reason why somebody in a healthy relationship would have not told me about the trip cancellation. I was naive and was hoping that there'd be some reasoning that I wasn't seeing, and that we could work through this issue. I knew that Amy had been treating me poorly outside of this issue, but it felt like her treatment of me was kind of on the upswing, and that we were growing closer, until she stonewalled me for 3 weeks after my first post. Before my first post, I felt like one final talk with her would really keep us on the right path and hopefully fix things for good. Obviously, I was naive and stupid for thinking that, and let my love for her blind me to the obvious, but hindsight is 20/20ths. It's hard to recognize that emotionally abusive relationships aren't going to change when you're in them. Reflecting back, there were always times when she's briefly treated me well to pull me back in. I guess that's what was going on recently, but who knows? And to the people suggesting that we weren't actually in a relationship, that we had different agreements of what the relationship meant, and that I belong in a psych ward, thanks. Appreciate that. But no, when we were still seeing each other, as in after a few dates, I specifically asked her to be exclusive, and she said yes. Once I felt ready, I sat her down, told her how much I cared about her, and asked her to be my girlfriend. She agreed, and we've been BF/GF ever since. We've posted each other on Valentine's Day, and both had pictures of each other on social media. When talking to others, she introduced me to them as her boyfriend. We've been on weekend trips away together with my friends. Early on, we had conversations about what we want in terms of kids, marriage, where to live, etc., to make sure we were on the same page. While I might have been naive and had heavy rose-tinted glasses, I'm not some psycho stalker. She knew we were in a relationship, treated me like crap, acknowledged that my feelings were valid all the times that I brought up her treatment of me. And when I broke up with her, she begged me to take a few days and reconsider. This wasn't some fantasy you'd see in a creepy movie. To end off my update, I'm doing okay. I was really sad the first 2 days, but that's past. I am still in pain, grieving, and thinking about her, but there is some relief from all the comments reinforcing that I made the right choice. Things are hard right now, but I know I've made the best choice in for me and my well-being. Thanks all again, and hopefully this is the end of my time here.